Well, so much for that. I was just referring to what Mario just said about AI and everyday humans. Take that concept and create a band
There you
with
go.
AI, using AI, and then everyday humans can be musicians.
I've actually got this friend of mine who is a she's also an AI entrepreneur, AI expert, whatever you call it. And she does like really amazing AI videos. And she's fairly attractive. So she does like herself as a like musician, but her Suno tracks aren't that great. Like lyrically, she's not the best, but like I crush it on lyrics and like prompts for Suno. And so we're gonna team up, and she's gonna be the lead singer, and then I'm gonna be the songwriter. And we're making an AI band. We just haven't decided what to call it yet.
Heard something interesting today. It was Rory Sutherland, dude, and he was mentioning that the Industrial Revolution wasn't just a revolution on industry; it was also a marketing revolution because you can improve things, but unless somebody's out there advocating and getting the message out, you know, no revolution would have happened. It wouldn't have caught
Absolutely.
ideas when caught on. It's like, oh, different way of thinking about it.
Absolutely. All right, let's kick it off, boys and gals. We got some people watching on Facebook, so let me kill this screen share. Get rid of that. All right, and I'll hit record. Welcome everyone to our session today, which is all things snapshots with the master of snapshots, Mr. Michael Pacito. So for those of you who this is your first time joining us, Michael is an absolute expert in the snapshots realm. He has been building and developing snapshots for quite some time, but not just that. He builds and develops agency assets, accounts. He's a former agency owner. He's worked for some of the top industry leaders in high level and just knows basically what to do and how to structure it. So we're really excited to have another session with him today. And I look forward to learning about what we can do.
Well, thank you so much there, Mario. Yeah, as I always like to say, I don't know all of the solutions, but I really understand the problems. And kind of thank you for that because it really ties into something that I wanted to go over with you guys. And just for all you that are here and who might be thinking of jumping in on the Zoom, I like to just kind of kick it off with a couple thoughts, bring in like 5, 10 minutes of some prepared stuff. But really, if you guys want to get the most value out of these sessions, just come on in, jump on the mic, ask your questions, just throw them down and be bold. And because we're here to talk about your guys' issues, but to get things off is talking about the problem. Because what I'm seeing so often now is that we're always really solution focused in agencies, right? In marketing, high level, we're thinking about, hey, what are these solutions that we can provide? What's the new gizmo, the new snapshot, the new AI, the new automation? Um, but what we really have to focus on before we focus on solutions that just kind of end up being, a new shiny thing is we have to really understand the problem better. Because when you understand what problem we're trying to solve better and you have more of an understanding of that, the solutions become obvious, right? It's like, if you ever like you ask a question, it's stuck in your head, and then by the time you finally are able to articulate it to somebody, you're kind of feeling stupid because you kind of already know what the answer is now that you've said it and articulated the problem. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. It's a section from the course that I'm going to be getting out to the public. It's on about the need for a snapshot manager. And so I'll be sharing a little bit of the insights from that. And yeah, we'll just do it up here. So what I've really noticed in a lack of agencies is this need for a role called the snapshot manager. Now, whether you are a solo person or you have a team, or whether you think this is a dumb idea, silly thing, you have this role in your agency. If you have a snapshot, you have someone who's responsible for being the snapshot manager. But what thing is, because we've never really defined what a snapshot management is or what a snapshot manager role is, we don't know if we're doing a good job or not. We don't know if there's any problems with our snapshots. We kind of just are hoping the thing that we got is working and we're doing our best. So I want to just share with you a couple of the purpose and why I think we need to focus on the snapshot manager role. So snapshot managers are in agencies often where we're valuing immediate results over long-term sustainability. Marketing is all about launch fast, fail fast, move on to the next. But in snapshots and high level, I don't know if you've noticed, Mario, maybe you've noticed this, that if you create a problem once and you launch it out to 100 clients, um, do you really fail fast and move on fast, or do you kind of get stuck on that one problem for a long time?
You end up pigeonholing yourself, like, because you now have to retroactively go fix that problem, and it's not a sustainable solution. So, like, I totally get it. I totally get what you're saying, that when you take a problem and you're like, oh, it's not that big of a deal, and then you roll it out to 100 people, it becomes a big deal very quickly.
Perfect. A bit of a broken record here on this slot here, but it's always important to reinforce that. Um, doesn't understand Agencies often don't understand the true cost of technical debt in snapshot systems. So there might be a couple people here that know what the term technical debt is. But technical debt is a really fancy way of saying uh, the problems that build up over time, the tax that gets starts draining that you pay every single day for a system that doesn't work very well. And if you don't have someone in your agency, whether you're solo by yourself and that's you, or if you're team, you don't have someone that understands the implication of the technical debt that you're creating, you could be making a lot of progress that feels like you're moving your business forward when really you're actually bringing your agency closer to the end, the limit of where you can make more money, where the amount of time you spend firefighting and operations gets so big, right? So the need for a snapshot manager's role in a GHL agency is to understand the implications of the decisions of today. Because if no one's advocating for this in your agency, it can be a little bit of an issue. Agencies often have little experience with the consequences of poorly managed snapshots, right? We get a snapshot, maybe it doesn't work very well, so we go to the next snapshot, and you kind of hope the next one will work. Well, a lot of agencies, if this is your first snapshot or the first build that you've ever done, you just don't know what those consequences are. So the role of a snapshot manager isn't just to kind of know a bunch of fancy tools, or it's not just a fancy title. Um, the person who's in this role really needs to understand in real experience, not just in theory. They have to have actually suffered the consequences of poor decisions. Because if you don't know, those kind of things, it's like, you shouldn't do something, but it's not real to you until you've actually experienced it. There's a need for people who've experienced these problems and not just coaches. Like for me, I'm with Vertical Action. They're a diamond agency. The stuff I'm talking about here, like I manage the snapshots. When I make a bad decision, if I let something slide that I shouldn't let slide, I feel the impact of that, right? So a snapshot manager can't just be somebody who's consulting for you on the outside that isn't day to day kind of experiencing those consequences. Because if you're not the person dealing with the problems, it's real easy to pass that off to someone else 6 months down the line. And the other thing that I'm seeing in agencies, why we need to focus on a snapshot manager role, is there's oftentimes we need somebody to advocate for the documentation, right? Because a lot of times as agencies, writing things down, creating SOPs, again, it's a thing we know we need to do, but oftentimes it feels like writing down documentation and like what are all the stuff in our snapshot? What does it do? It feels like it's just bureaucracy. It feels like it's just, we're doing it to say we have it, and no one's ever really going to look at these documentation anyway. So why should we do it? And part of a snapshot manager's role is to understand that documenting your snapshot isn't just about having a piece of paper at the end. It's not like, so, something you saying, hey, look, we have it. No one's going to read it, but it's there. The snapshot manager is to recognize that by forcing people to actually write down the things they're building, to articulate the thing that we just built this like complicated 5 workflow little feature. If you can't explain that and write it down concisely in a documentation, what it does, how do you know it's working the way you need to? How do you know you're going to know how to fix it if it goes wrong? How do you know you've actually thought through what the implications of installing that is, right? So I see these kind of 4 major parts of, or these 4 major things happening in agencies. And I believe that a snapshot manager isn't just there to build snapshots. They're not just there to, to fix things, and they're not just a technical person. A snapshot manager is understanding these kind of 4 issues and making sure that we get that experience, that we understand the cost of our decisions, right? They're being part of the process of decision making. They're not just a task VA that you dump tasks on. And there's somebody that, because they understand that these are complicated problems and it requires talking and building relationships with the different team members and the owner of the business or the manager. It's somebody who understands how to fix these and how to build a culture that will address these stuff here. So just so I know that I'm not talking completely out of my butt here, I'd love to hear from George or Warren or Mario too, Julia too. Why don't I see? Oh, look, there's all kinds of people. I just have to expand my chat. Oh my goodness. Is anyone in the chat there? Have anyone seen any of these 4 or any of these 4 kind of things you see on the screen here? Is there one that's kind of like, oh yeah, that's something that I don't have, or maybe I've seen that in or experienced that in an agency? Savan says, yeah, which one of those ones do you see in there, Savan? You can also jump on the mic too, dude. We're allowed, this is open. We're allowed to just jump in if you want to.
Especially the one with poorly managed snapshots.
Oh yeah? Yeah.
Yeah.
Without you don't have to incriminate any names or anything, but what do you think is the cause of the snapshots getting poorly managed? Like what part of it is not being managed properly?
So what happens is that sometimes like there are different, opportunity pipelines, right?
Mhm.
And I move the leads across the pipelines depending on, what kind of responses they give out. And a lot of it is already taken care by snapshots, but sometimes there are like, 1 or 2 cases where you actually need to make sure that they go into the right pipeline or like, they're put into right automations. And that's where like you need to have somebody who is, actually looking into it and taking care of those stuff. Otherwise, it could just, get messier over
Yeah.
time.
So if I'm hearing you right, it's like, okay, yeah, you have a pipeline, but if you've only automated half of it, you're not understanding, well, if some things are automated and some are manual, that's a problem, right? Because when an actual human has to learn how to use that snapshot or use it, it might be confusing to them because they think, oh, the pipeline, it's automated. Oh, wait, no, I have to do this. And if you don't write those things down or bring accountability, yeah, that's totally true, man. I appreciate you saying that. And it even too, I'll even use myself as an example. I posted about this recently too. I even had an issue where I made a decision like 6 months ago. I thought it's like, hey, this way that I build things, it's a little nerdier. It's a little bit more of a thing that's not talked about, but maybe because we're just doing a quick build right now, it's a simple snapshot. I won't do it. And it was one of those decisions that didn't really have a massive impact on the snapshot that I built and in the short term. But when I went to go And when I wanted to repurpose this snapshot to start, making a new version of it and try and change things, I realized that if I had done the thing that I said I probably should have done 6 months ago, it would have been a really simple thing to move these different parts of the snapshot around, but I had integrated in a way that made it complicated. And it's like, hey, that cost, it wasn't a massive problem, but it was enough to make me go, man, that was dumb, right? So nobody's perfect, but we do want to make sure that we're building that knowledge in our company, right? So cool, guys. Thank you. Appreciate that, Sivan. And it's again for anyone, if there's anything that we're saying here that jumps out, you can, or if you have questions, I'd love to see them in the chat there, or just hop on the mic and interrupt because this is an interactive show. It's a little Zoom room, but we like it on our Thursdays. So another thing I wanted to bring up to you guys about the role of the snapshot manager, even if you're a solopreneur, you're running your own shop, it's really important to have a check-in. Take a little 5 minutes once a month, once a quarter, and evaluate where you feel you're standing, what value your snapshot is bringing, and why you might even need to change something. So if you're hemming and hawing, should I update the snapshot or should I not update the snapshot? You're going to hear a lot of opinions. It's like, yes, you should always be improving, or no, man, keep it simple. Use what you had, don't reinvent the wheel. To answer whether you should make a decision, we have to understand the value that snapshots bring and evaluate if we're doing a good job right now or if there's actual reason to change. So some of the things that a snapshot brings in value is something like a reduction in support tickets related to snapshot. Mario might know a little bit about this, but like being able to offload kind of support tickets is nice, but there's a point where if there's so many tickets going, you can't just offload tickets forever. Eventually, you have to fix the root problem. I don't know, Mario, you got anything to say on reducing support tickets in the snapshot?
Yeah, I mean, that's a big challenge. Snapshots can either generate more support tickets for you, or they can help to reduce the number of requests that come in for a client, because you can tell them, just go look at this module. Here's the documentation for it. Set this up, and this feature is exactly what you want, right?
Yeah.
Or you can have conversely, where you just have a vomiting of things in a snapshot, and it ends up generating more support tickets for you because nobody understands how everything works together, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like the value in a snapshot is reducing the amount of work ultimately. And part of that work is reducing the amount of support tickets that come in.
100%. Because also it's like getting your support tickets done is one thing, but not having a support ticket at all, like wouldn't your customers prefer never having to raise a support ticket? I mean, obviously never will never happen, but some customers might never actually, if you can do that. So if you're finding that your snapshots have lots of support tickets, if you're feeling the need that to like, hey, I need to outsource more. I like the outsourcing is like, if you're getting to a spot where even that's not really solving the issue completely, sometimes you might want to look at updating a snapshot, right? Faster onboarding times. Question I always ask everyone before I start a project is, if they already have an existing snapshot, how long does it take from the time they pay to the time that they have a fully working and their team trained on and they're actually using the snapshot on a data, not just once it's set up and you've handed it off to them. Onboarding means by the time that they've paid to the time that they're actually using the snapshot on a day-to-day basis, they're successfully onboarded. And knowing that, because if you could set the snapshot up in 30 minutes, that's great. But is anybody actually using it? And if they're not, well, that might be a reason why you might want to update your snapshot. And having somebody who understands, who's tracking this kind of a metric, right? How fast are our clients on? Not just are they getting onboarded, but how quickly are they? Another value that's important to have in your snapshots, guys, is the decreased time to resolve snapshot problems. We're not talking support tickets. We're saying if somebody raises a bug and say, hey, this doesn't work, and it's important to the business, right? Let's say it's a calendar function not working. How long from the time you hear that that bug happens, that's reported, to when you actually fix it in all of your existing clients' accounts and for the new people? Because if you haven't updated your snapshot in a while, because maybe it's just too complicated, it takes too much work, maybe there's just, it's going to take so much to update things. Well, the snapshot manager's role is to kind of identify that, because if it takes 6 months from the time you hear of a important bug happening in your snapshot to actually getting it out to clients, that's not good. Unless anyone unless anyone disagrees with that, which I don't think we will. Julia, you don't. I think I heard the lights going on. No.
No, I think that's one of the things that like intimidates me with this is because with my, other businesses that I've had, customer service has always been like my top priority. And I'm concerned that I'm going to be like glued to my phone responding to people when they have issues or something. And I know that's where, Pro Tools comes in and stuff, but that's something that concerns me because I just want to make sure that everybody gets taken care of right away. Because when your business isn't running right and you're waiting for something on a piece of software that's not working properly with your clientele, that needs to get fixed like right away.
Yeah. And that's when you have a good partner that you can manage that stuff too, it's awesome. And it gives you more bandwidth to focus on these kind of questions, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So you bring these questions in and then you can go to High Level Pro Tools and say, hey, how many tickets are we generating? And
Okay.
that helps you go, okay, well, where the problems are, where do I need to focus my time as an agency owner? Because
Okay.
yeah, you're going to be overwhelmed, Juliet. There's more to do that can never be done, to quote a famous song, Lion King fans. But so it's recognizing that we have to do something. And if we can prioritize better and understand what our problems are, then, yeah, you might not get to all of it in the next year, but at least you're getting to the biggest things first. And that's all you can do.
Yes.
Thank you for that. Appreciate you jumping in there. I just saw you smiling at that one. So I'm like,
Well, I
she's
heard
got
it and
something.
like I have all these like flashbacks to when I was when I did
That
software before and I was like, ah.
1,000 mile stare. Just
Yes,
like,
yeah. I worked between developers and our contractors and it was just it could be overwhelming at times.
yeah, beautiful. So measuring snapshot value. Another thing you can look at with your snapshot is the increased team confidence in making changes. This one is one that doesn't get talked about. Maybe it's a me thing, but sometimes I look at a snapshot and I literally just ignore it because I see it and I just feel like,
It's
man,
overwhelming.
if I have to touch anything, I'm probably gonna have to pull apart like every other workflow just to fix this one thing. And as a business owner or snapshot manager, understanding, hey, the temperature of, hey, are we freely making changes to our snapshot? Do we feel confident to make changes? Or is there something that's like holding the team back? Because if there's something holding the team back, you know, it's hard to pinpoint exactly what, but you can at least pinpoint to that saying, oh, this is a problem that we have to figure out. Because if we're not confident in making changes, if our support team isn't confident in troubleshooting, and they're not like, and they're because they're afraid that they're just going to generate more problems or more questions because things they're not sure. A snapshot manager's job is to recognize that and fix it with documentation, with better training, with better planning, maybe planning the next version of your snapshot to avoid the complexity. You can also look at clients. I don't know about you, but maybe talking to clients once in a while about how your snapshot's doing, but not just, how, what it does, but how do they feel using it? Do they feel comfortable using it? Do they enjoy using high level with you? Because oftentimes you can build a really fancy snapshot that does a lot of cool things, but if no one's using it, it kind of doesn't matter, right? And how people feel about something is almost as important, if not more important, than what it does. Because if they feel good about it, they're using it, and you can always improve it. But if they feel bad about it, even if it's the best thing since sliced bread, you're kind of stuck. So making sure, and as an agency owner, you probably have not actually used your snapshot in a while, and you've probably not talked to your clients in a while about that because it's hard to pin clients down and get feedback. But that's the role of a snapshot manager, is to push that forward and make sure you're getting that feedback. Obviously, reducing emergency fixes and firefighting. Bugs happen, where this is different than just bugs and fixing issues. This is oh shoot, everything's broken. Like people are angry. We gotta drop everything and do this. How many times a month, a week, a day is this happening? And what part of the snapshot is causing that, right? And if we can change things to make that lower, we're in a good spot. And my favorite, number of working snapshots launched. So oftentimes, this is for bigger teams. This is for people who might be having multiple niches or verticals and actually are building multiple snapshots. If you Sometimes we're thinking, hey, we have like 100 different niches that we want to go after. And a metric that you might use to determine if your snapshot team is building lots or not is to think, well, how many of those snapshots are we making? What's the number of them that we're making? Which is good, but there's a key word that you have to have, which is number of working snapshots launched. Because I have a little philosophy is you can outwork the entire 99% of the high level snapshot community by just focusing on launching one thing that works really well. Because if someone builds 100 things that works, you've outworked them with just one. Because at the end of the day, people want things that actually do what they say they're going to do, not things that work in theory but are a little difficult and don't actually get them the results. So oftentimes it's hard to keep track of this kind of a metric. And I believe a snapshot manager or whoever's taking the role of that, if you're the solopreneur, is you need to be very focused on not just the number of snapshots, but the number of working snapshots. And if yeah, Mario, what's going through your head, my dude?
Oh, I was just saying that the number of working snapshots, I think, is like everyone builds snapshots, but they don't really consider like utilization of those snapshots. And I think that one of the biggest things is like and this is something I try and coach people into, is that you don't just buy snapshots for the sake of buying snapshots, and you don't build snapshots for the sake of building snapshots. You build them in specific need cases that you can replicate over and over again.
Yeah.
Like I think that's a core differentiation between most people's logic behind snapshots and how they should be used, is that you really have to do it you have to do it with someone who is an industry expert, build it to fit their needs, and then replicate that over and over again.
And hold them to account. This is another one of my soapbox moments, but I believe we're the experts in snapshots. In GHL, we rely a lot on expertise. We rely on, hey, this guy's really good at what he does. Let's just trust him. And trust is good. And, I'm not going to knock sometimes speed. Speed is very important in business, but it's very, very easy with a snapshot with how complicated high level is, that if you're not being held to a metric, like as you said, I love the word you used, utilization rates, right? Man, we got 100 sales. What I'm not concerned about is the 100 sales. I'm worried about how many people are successfully using this snapshot and are still using their account 6 months from now. What are those metrics? Like how many contacts are on average are in our customers' pipelines?
Mm-hmm.
Are people using the conversation view? How many booked calls with shows? How many showed up? How many people have converted from being a booked call to showed in our accounts? Because if you don't know those numbers, the utilization of those snapshots, you could get a lot of sales, but very quickly you're going to get a lot of churn. If you get a
Mm-hmm.
lot of churn, those sales don't come back, right? You have to go get new ones because if someone leaves, they leave because they said these guys don't deliver, it's not valuable. So focusing on churn, and I probably should have put that in the slide, which is what is your churn rates and what are the indicators for those? And if you have an expert that you just saying, oh yeah, he's doing it, he's managing it, but if you don't have those numbers, all the expertise in the world isn't going to bring those customers back, right? So making sure that you have accountability, get expertise, but also get accountability because experts rise to those occasions there. Cool, guys. So that's what I wanted to chat about, really, was just how do you bring how do you bring value to your snapshots? But I'd love to hear your guys' questions, man. I'll open it up. Do you guys, is there something you're working on in the snapshots? Are you trying to do something or are you kind of like Julia there where you have, you have some fears that you want to talk about? Hey, Julia, oh, was that Julia? She's
You knew
jumping back on.
it. That
Love
my
it.
laugh. Um, I think one of my fears is like not being able to explain it well enough to a prospect. And I think I'm trying to get clear. And I had some conversations yesterday on what my offering should be, and I don't know if this might be like way off topic. And I'm writing on.
Beautiful.
I took notes on like mail here.
Love it.
This is how
Hey,
my life has been the last couple weeks. I
it
think what
got it
I had
done.
here it is. So I think what I had came down to was like I wanted to offer like a Google review automation and then also build an automation no, and then do like I guess the chat bot AI to help capture a business's leads. And then yeah, see this is where I'm stuck at. Like I can visually see it and I'm like actively building it, but be able to articulate it is like two different things.
Yeah. So are you newer to the high level?
Yes,
And
yes.
so
I've
this
only
is your
been in
first
agency
option?
for like 30 days.
Ah, wonderful. Welcome, welcome. It's
Thanks.
buckle up, buckle up. Uh, Step number one for me is who you building it to, you know?
Lawn service, lawn care and hardscape companies. Now, I am a Go High Level user. So my current business, I do use Go High Level and I build my automations and stuff. So I'm fairly familiar with it. I would not say an expert, but I'm familiar with like creating automations and
Yeah.
tagging and all
So
that
you've
stuff.
got all of the technical skills, but you're now thinking of, well, how am I getting this scaling it at the snapshot side? You're in the right place. So
Yeah.
number one is really going back to the customers. Now you know you very well, but it's really important to go and make sure that you validate why you're building what you're building, right? And the best thing I mean, this is going to be general advice. It might not work in every instance, but I think one of the best things you can do for eliminating doubts and getting clarity and confidence in why you're building is get two or three. You don't even, even one of your target market, somebody and you can call them up. Maybe it's someone local, and you can say, "Hey, I'd like to buy you a coffee. I'm getting new into this industry and I just want to know what it's like. There's no pitch, there's no sales, not going to ask you for anything. I just really want to, you know, I just want to learn from the best in the industry. And would you be, would I be able to buy you lunch or something, right? It doesn't have to even be that. It could be a little Zoom call. It could just be, text, whatever it is. But the idea is just talk to them and ask them and find out how their day goes. What is it like running their business in the office? What are the challenges? How do they actually operate? Are they always in the office and they're dealing with some, they have like admin people, or are they constantly on the go and they're always kind of stuck? Like, I find talking to the client one on one without any sales or pitch or things gets you that clarity. And when you can visualize what their day to day life is, you can imagine what having a snapshot in a high level software where it fits, right? Like what things are going to be valued, what things will get used. Um, and if after talking to two or three people, if you do that exercise and you don't know what things to offer them, uh, maybe that's not, like, but I guarantee you will. But like, I didn't want to go as far as saying maybe high level's not for you. But like, I guarantee you, if you have a 30-minute, 20-minute conversation with three of your audiences, and just asking them how their day goes, where their clients come from, what a day of life is, you'll know what products you'd get. It'll jump right out at you.
Okay. So I shouldn't, so I'd already like built the website and stuff offering the products. So should I not do that?
No, no. Like this is what I'm saying is more general advice. But talking to, like, you're already building. So you're saying more like, hey, should I use a review management or AI? Like, what part are you not as confident on right now? Like
I don't
just
know. I think
putting a
I like,
feature in?
so like my brain kind of works backwards. So like I feel
Mhm.
like I have to like build it, see it, use it, be able to like articulate it, and then build the website. And I'm going from front to back instead of back to front. Um,
Mhm.
so like one of the things that I put in here was like in the About Us section, I put, "Hey there, I'm Julia, and I started my home service hero after watching too many good people lose business just because they couldn't get to their phone in time." Because I assume that like these lawn care guys are like super busy.
Mhm.
And then I mentioned that I also run my own service company, and between missed calls, chasing quotes, and late night texting with clients, it was just a lot. We, like we didn't need more software. We needed something that actually like stepped in and helped to take the pressure off of us. So we built a simple bot, or so I built a simple bot that sounds human, talks to leads right away, and gathers the info you need to quote jobs faster without the
Cool.
back and
So
forth
what's
calling.
stopping you from launching that AI and getting a couple beta testers in?
I guess nothing. I
Yeah.
I literally just did that this morning.
Yeah.
So like I've been working on it for like a couple days.
Yeah. I would launch that, man. Like, use it. You're using it yourself yet?
No, I want to put that's the next step. So like this was
Oh
like
yeah.
like I finished the website and then I need to put the AI. I need to set up the AI bot and then put it on the
Yeah.
website
Use
so
one
people can
thing.
use it. Like if they're gonna go there because they want it, they need to be able to use it and be like, oh, this is so cool.
Get the one thing, get it working for yourself, and get at the same time, invite some people to be your first beta saying, hey, who would like it if I made I'm working on a bot that will close leads in the lawn care business, like that works 24/7. Um, who would want me to build that?
Okay.
Right? Maybe one or two of people in your network might raise their hands while you're building it. So you're starting to generate the interest for that thing. You get one or two people, cool. There's now that you've built it for yourself and you got, okay, now start rolling out that one feature to those people, get them excited. Now you got that confidence. And now you know of like, hey, do you just focus on that one feature? Do you even need more features?
I know,
Right?
right?
But you won't know until you start those parts. So I think you got everything you need. You have the experience yourself. You know how to use high level. I think you just jump right in and launch that because that sounds like a cool offer. Mel,
Okay.
Mel, jump on in. You got something to say or you got a question?
Yeah, but like I'm very, very new, so like my question will be
I love
will
it.
be a bad, bad question. Let's just put it that way.
That's the best questions, by the way. There's
So
yeah.
I know, but I don't even know if I can get my screen to share. I've been having problems with this last time I tried to share. So like, and this is really, really like this is even how do you do this? So please don't laugh at me.
No.
If I can show you. Hold on.
Hey, as long as
Sorry,
you can, if you can laugh at it too, then we're all laughing
yeah,
together.
well,
There we go.
it's just because it works sometimes, but then it doesn't work other times. So I'm like, what am I doing wrong?
Oh, good. So what's your question?
So I'm trying to like get the right text into here, but then sometimes I can see it and sometimes I can't see it. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
So I just like I'm just not like understanding where I'm supposed to see all of this stuff. Like I can't find it in any of this section. And
Oh,
like
it looks like it's an FAQ section.
yeah, like it's the FAQ section, but the problem is that like some of the content in here is correct, but some of the content is incorrect. And sometimes if I switch to the mobile view, I can find the content, but sometimes I can't.
Yeah,
So
because
on the right hand side, where it says list item 5, scroll down a little bit.
Okay.
Click list item 6.
Yeah.
Just click list item 6. and that'll expand the.
Okay, so that's what I was doing wrong. Okay,
Yep.
so
Yeah.
you just okay, because sometimes it was working and sometimes it wasn't. Sorry, guys.
No
Like
problem.
No. You have nothing to apologize for.
I'm just like, I don't understand, and why is it not working? And sometimes you just click on something and it works, and then you're like, yes, and then it
That's
doesn't
all
work anymore.
software. 90%, 95% of all like software, high level
Yeah.
stuff, you do it super easy. It's that 5% of these dumb little like, I didn't know I couldn't. I had to click on this button to drop. Like that's the stuff. So don't worry about it.
Yeah, sorry. Either way, like I said, very new to it, but
Welcome. Welcome. We love the fact that you're asking questions. We appreciate it. Julia, what's happening?
Well, Mel, I don't know if you know this or not, and I just recently discovered this, but I think on the top right, there's like when you're in Go High Level, there's like a little question mark or something, and they'll hop on Zoom with you and help you work through problems.
oh, okay, yeah, that's good to know too. See, I really need to like spend some more time in here. But before, like I was doing it so that it was just like I learned it on this, but it was a different, like it was a white leveled of high level. So it's just, and I didn't pay a lot of attention during that. So this
It's
is
just
my
a
time.
different beast. Yeah, and
Yeah.
I didn't know that they had that until like a week ago. And I'm only mentioning it so you're like sometimes you don't get stuck on something for like a week because you can't figure something out. So
So
Okay,
George
good to
is
know. I will use that.
George is asking the point that I made about measuring snapshot value, increased team confidence in making snapshot changes. Is that the same as rolling out snapshot changes and change management? Yeah, it was. Maybe I was basically saying that part there, like rolling out snapshot changes, George, but more on like a strategic view of it, right? Saying not just how do we do the changes, but how as a kind of a temperature check in the agency, how confident do we feel as a team at making those changes, right? It's that little thing of just like instead of asking definitely results, but it's asking how do we feel about even making attempt, like we're almost like we're talking about here with Julia and Mel, right? It's like sometimes like there wasn't like an answer that was needed, which feature should she do. The actual issue was more of how confident did she feel about making a decision, right? There's stuff that she knows she doesn't know, so having some confidence level of saying yes, I can just make that decision, right? So that was me of saying, hey, do you is the reason you haven't updated your snapshot because there's no bugs and there's no issues, there's no room for improvement? Or is the issues because deep down in your heart, you kind of feel that there's a lot of things wrong that you don't understand and you don't take action because maybe you're going to open up a big can of worms that you don't have time for right now? That was more what that's what that point was kind of more making. Got any other follow-up questions on that, George? Love to hear about what you're doing with snapshots, man. If you're able to jump on the mic or video. If not, that's cool. All right, guys. Any other questions? I'd love to have them. What's happening? What are you? Is anyone here building a snapshot, getting started with a snapshot, or have more questions
when you say
about that?
snapshot, could that be as simple as just creating the AI chatbot for somebody and implementing it onto their website, or is that like a full
snapshot? Great
automation
question.
system with everything, all the bells and whistles?
Snapshot is a snapshot. If you have a single email template in the snapshot, that's a snapshot. If literally the only thing you need to deliver to someone is a single email, and that is the most valuable email on the planet, and it's worth $100 or $50 or $5, and you want to roll that out as a snapshot, that's a snapshot, man. We don't care about the quantity, the size, or anything. All we care about is what are the snapshots that we have, and are they or are they not effective? I'm going to mess this name up, but Joe Don, what's happening?
You're not far off on that. Good job.
Thank you. I appreciate your pity.
Yeah, no worries. So best practice then when we're talking about updating snapshots, I've heard a little bit of variation in this. Is it better to continually modify and build within a single snapshot, or when you're dealing with a bunch of sub accounts, should they be micro snapshots that you're using to update everybody going forward?
So if I'm hearing you correctly, you're asking like, should we have one snapshot? And hypothetically, if we had a snapshot and updating that one snapshot and pushing out versus, hey, let's give them one snapshot and then make like smaller. And if we're going to update them, let's update them with smaller chunks.
Right.
That has actually changed in the last couple months. And the big reason that's changed is that high level now has the ability for you to have a smaller version, your whole one account that has the whole snapshot, and you can make a second snapshot that's only part of it. So if you're thinking of like giving them just the core, the pipeline, inbound messaging, et cetera, to get them started, and now they're done that. Now I want to give them the next part. You can then load the snapshot that has all that and then all the extra stuff, and you can then push it out, and it's actually all still linked together. Um, my my preference is one snapshot whenever possible, the least amount of snapshot, because every snapshot you add is now something you have to manage. You have to track it, you have to track these changes. And if you're by yourself, it gets overwhelming. I've done it yeah. So I would say make the case for micro, find and identify a problem that the micro, and if you yourself don't know the problem, don't add micro snapshots. But you can, there is a reason for micro snapshots, but know why. Otherwise, one snapshot will probably be the best for everyone.
So, to clarify, if I heard you correctly, it would be the case for it might be more so segmentation of features that you're adding or deleting, right? That would be really the only reasonable reason to do it that way. And if you're going to do it that way, find a way not to.
If you don't mind me jumping in, I'm actually, not to contradict myself, but I'm actually doing that right now in vertical action. We have like 1,000+ accounts. So one of the challenges, one of the problems we've identified is that most people don't use most of the features. High level is kind of is a big bonus. It's not the main thing that we do. So one thing we've realized is that if we can break out if we're delivering like these 7 different major features, but we're making them opt into those features before we put them in, because most people they have like 10 seconds of bandwidth. They get it set up. We want to automate it and then only give them more if they're actually going to automate it. And that way we can kind of control how much. But again, this is not, we're giving up. There's a trade-off for that. There's a lot more complexity. I have to spend a couple extra days and weeks building it in a modular way and making sure it rolls out. So that's what I'm saying. Until you have this problem is so big that we need that. But yeah, hopefully that was useful to you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. What else? What's the, oh, I will jump into Warren. Thank you, Warren. But we'll see if we get some time to chat more in the sec there. Warren, what's happening, man?
Hey, what's going on? Hey, I was wondering, ideas for future calls, maybe diving into like how-tos around snapshots, right? So maybe basic automations, connecting the pipelines and stuff like that. Like
how to choose? Sorry, I missed the first
how to
part.
build, right? How to connect all the dots, right? So if we want to build a snapshot, based on some of the ideas and problems people were talking about today, and the new feature of, segregating the individual snapshots that just launched that we talked about last week, maybe how-tos around how to build some of these things. Right. Currently I'm building, we're doing a lot of automations around outbound and, a lot of the elements within automations are like, okay, how do you use this? What's a good use case scenario for, this? How would I build the pipeline to match the automation, connect all the dots to make sure the update opportunities and everything works?
100%.
Stuff like that.
I'm just finishing this month this next week. I've done a beta course with the Cabbage Crew, as I called them, and it's been the course of Snapshot Manager. And there's going to be some free courses, and there's going to be some paid ones as well as there's going to be all kinds of other little different things that I got. This is the first time I've ever talked about it, so I just put it in the Zoom chat here. This is just a little form that you could fill out if you want to be notified when that drops. One of the modules is actually, Actually, I can even just show you. It'd be kind of cool because, I'm a proud mama, but I have a whole course that's outlining the fundamentals of snapshot strategy. We go through things like the user journey mapping and documentation. And what we're doing this week right now is building for scale. So we're talking about naming conventions, workflows, best practices, and that. So, yeah, I 100% am going through that. And that's something we could talk on these calls. I can take a little tidbit on that. But because there's so much, like half of what I've been trying to do with this course is just make cut out stuff that's, useful, but not that useful. But yeah, dude, I would love to do that next one. So appreciate it. What are you dealing with right now? Like, what are you building right now that's kind of caught your eye?
So right now, the biggest challenges that I'm facing is we have a client that we're building a lot of their stuff for them as a done for you solution. And the challenge is, we have a sales team that thinks you can just build stuff in 10 minutes. And then, right, we try to explain to
Well,
them.
you can. It just won't work. That's all.
Well, yeah. So based on their business model, we want to collect data and analytics, right? We ran a couple outbound campaigns, and they believe in the cold email. I believe more in a personalized approach. So, we're trying to build for both, right? So we're doing outbound emails, but we're trying to really personalize the messaging based on very specific titles within the verticals that they're going after. But the challenges are, right, building out those outbound to drive traffic back to a funnel or something within our platform, and then collecting the data and analytics, and we're using the sales pipeline and the update opportunity to gauge where they're facing, like the customer journey, right? And they get to the booking calendar, right, and all of a sudden they hit a wall and people don't want to commit to that kind of thing. So now we're trying to solve for different things.
When there's a difference of opinion, I always go, not what I think, not what you think, but hey, what's the customer think? What does the customer's bank account thinks? And though we will be having to go here in a couple minutes, but so
Yes.
I'll quick because that's a big topic you just brought out.
I know.
But one of the things I'm a big proponent on is multiple pipelines, not unnecessary pipelines, but making sure that you have clear win conditions and loss conditions or one loss things for your stuff, because oftentimes people have this big giant pipeline that it doesn't really give them any information of how successful, like you said, what's the more personal approach, like that more inbound approach, does that work? What's the conversion rate on that? What's the conversion rate of outbound? And you don't have those broken out in a defined win loss, it's hard to make that call, and it's just opinion, right? So, one thing I will say is if you're building multiple snapshots, I would highly, highly recommend documentation. I'll also throw the manager. How many snapshots are you managing right now?
So this is our biggest client, and we're doing a lot of stuff for them. So,
one thing I might suggest, I've done training in the past using just a simple spreadsheet for documenting your snapshots. But if you're managing lots of snapshots, you might, I know for sure you would benefit from the Manager Pro. It's an Airtable template that I built. I use it every day for managing like all the different snapshots and version history. And you need it because you need to be able to forget it, right? There's an important client, but you got other clients, you got other projects. You need some way of making sure you've gotten all of that brain juice out. But anyway, I don't have a lot of time to go on that, but I would highly recommend that.
And that's part of the challenge, right? Is educating the client as to the process, right? Like, I like to build mind maps, right? Outlining that. And then we limit our pipelines to like 7 steps, of outreach. They do this journey, and then they go into a cold bucket if they don't. Like if they do buy, then we're good. If they don't, then they go here. And then we build individual pipelines for each campaign because they're doing specific verticals. So
yeah, always the answer always comes into the mapping. So you're on the right path there.
Yeah.
I will have to get going in a couple minutes. So Mario, dude, I appreciate the time for you offering us here. I think we got a lot
Absolutely.
done.
Yeah, I thought
And
that was great.
everyone else, thank you for coming in. I appreciate y'all.
Awesome, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining today. Appreciate you, Michael. And I will see everyone later today on our customer service management call with Master Tim Sabir. So that is at noon Eastern, same link, and I'll see everyone then. Take care,
Awesome,
guys.
guys.